Hello, beautiful souls. With everything that's keeps going on in the world, I think a lot has been going on for a long time, but it seems to keep escalating, and it seems pretty obvious that it's moving into a certain direction where um, we may start losing our sovereignty more than we already have, and that things will change. So one of the reasons I'm doing this channel, I was just reflecting on it earlier. If I can be one little voice in the craze out there, a voice for sanity, a voice for stillness, for presence, if even one gets it, then it's worthwhile. And I know from comments and connections that are happening here that it's more than one. And that makes it really worthwhile for me to keep doing this and being this and sharing this, not just in words, but just as me, as an expression of that, um, in a process of letting go more and more of all these crazy, divisive identities that I have lived under and that I simply got really tired of. So I have a question for those of you, and there might not be anybody on my channel, but just generally then, what is the point of expressing your tightly held um, opinions and convictions? So, what is the point of holding on to that and expressing it and trying to convince others that your convictions, that your experience, your beliefs are right and theirs are not right? Because right there is division. And that is what we see in the world. That is what works really, really well if you want to control people, that the more divided we are, the easier we are to control, be controlled. When there's some kind of a solution that seems that will help our viewpoints and our convictions, then we go there. But all along, the split that happens just between two people everywhere all the time, because we all have our righteous beliefs and convictions. And for whatever reason, it seems to be very important for these convictions to be expressed and convince others that that is the right way. And all that happens is because normally you don't need to convince those who are on of that same conviction, right? You can just, flow along and you're in agreement. And there isn't much division there. There probably are on other areas, but if we just stay with this right now. And and then that conviction is trying to, what is it? What is the point? What do you think if you're really convinced of something and you want to try and convince others that you're right, and then this other person has a different conviction, and then they're either going to defend themselves or talk over you to convince you that they are right? And you can see the energy that is created there is complete war, division, separation, isolation, everything that we see happening in the world. And there are so incredibly many um, reasons that people are divided. You can pick any subject right now, in the political scene, in the spiritual scene, and anywhere, that you will see that there is division because people believe that I'm right and you're wrong, and I'm going to convince you that you're wrong and that I'm right. So the question is, what is the point? Real important question to ask ourselves. Because until we ask that question, we're just on this program. We are programmed by the matrix to do and be just that, divided. And until we question it with a very sincere internal inquiry and ask, like, what is the point of me trying to convince anybody that I'm right about this specific subject? So take a moment and ask yourself that. It may not be in the political scene. You may already have seen through it all, that it's just one big show that everybody can get pulled in and be part of the show, where it's just one big battle, everybody against everybody. So if you've seen through that, then I very much congratulate you. It means you are able to pull back and just observe it. And of course, being the observer from a place of presence, not from a place of bypassing or separating ourselves in a way, but from a place of seeing the oneness of it all, and that there is no point in going into duality about any of it. But if you are still invested in that, what do you sense? What do you feel? What do you know that is behind that drive to keep doing that? The program, it's like this program runs 24/7 everywhere. And we are invited to jump on that non-stop flow of insanity and duality and division. So when you know what it is in you that jumps on that bandwagon, you are like light years ahead of yourself from before when you didn't know it. It's like something completely can shift in you where you go like, oh, is that why I'm doing it? And of course, most of us may need help with that in the beginning. And as I always say, you are welcome to reach out to me and set up a time with me for a self-discovery session so we can see if this is something you want to explore with me. If it's alive enough in you and you feel that you don't know how to do it. If you do know how to do it, that's fantastic. You may already have done some of this deeper inner work, and you can see what is behind it. There can be so many reasons, my friends. There can be so many reasons. It can be that I'm just going to say something. You felt completely disempowered when you grew up. And now you want to be in power. And the only way you know how to be in power is by being right and making others wrong. Uh, I think I just described my father because I was always made wrong. And of course, then I had my pattern from that, right? So I certainly went through a phase where I wanted to convince others. And it was because I was insecure. I was not resting in myself. So, and when we don't rest in ourselves, we kind of move out and create some kind of an identity or personality that is covering this insecurity. So we come across as, I know it and I'm right. But that is not coming from your truth. It's coming from your false identity that needs that kind of stimulation to feel empowered. Because once we feel the power in just being who we are, being our sovereign self, our soul, being fully connected with our soul inside, and outside and everywhere. You don't need that confirmation that you're okay, that what you see or sense is right or wrong. It's like you just rest in it because you have learned to let go of the drama and the need for that program that is still unintegrated. You don't need that kind of stimulation or confirmation to feel that you're in your power and that you're okay, that you're good enough, whatever it is, all these underlying belief systems that we are being programmed with through the matrix. I did do a video of that. I think it's called You Were Not Born into Sin, You Were Born into the Matrix. And what that video is about, the sin is basically believing that you are not good enough. That is the only sin, is that we believe that that is true. And as long as we believe that, we need to build all these identities on top of it to um, to basically cancel out the belief that we're not good enough. Like, no, I'm strong and I'm right. But it doesn't work. It may feel like it works for a while, but you're not going to be very likable if you always want to be right, if you always interrupt people, talk over them. It's not very satisfying for either. And nobody's hearing each other. And that's another thing, when we want to convince somebody that we're right, and then the other person starts defending themselves and coming with a reason why they are right and you're wrong. What's the point? This is the question today. What is the point other than it may give you your ego, your separate sense of self? Maybe you feel some kind of a boost of empowerment. Is that what you want? When you see it in yourself, when you really touch into that, you can make a huge, huge shift. And that is my invitation today, to really explore in yourself. What is it that keeps jumping out, whether it's in the political scene, in the, whatever's going on scene today, because it's huge, or just in your personal life, in your relationship with your partner, your parents, your children, your friends, your work, are you always in this kind of a battle state where you need to be right, and you need to make sure you express your opinion, your conviction. That is right there. If you catch yourself doing that, take a breath. Take a breath and pause and just notice that you're doing that. You can go, oh, wow, I really feel how this energy is just driving me out and putting words to something to be right or whatever it is for you. Pause if you can and be present with that energy. And this is where I would highly recommend you do this deeper work with somebody who is trained doing that, because it's easy to get lost in it or to go into the mind and not quite knowing how to be present with that energy and let it inform you, let it show you what is actually going on. It does take some skills, I want to say. And then once you start really being present with it, you'll notice that this energy starts dispersing and it wants something. It needs something, but that need or want was misplaced, thinking that by doing this conviction thing, that it would satisfy this part inside that has never really been questioned or met or been present with. When we do that, huge shifts happen, guaranteed. And that would take a lot of the charge of all the people out there who are going to demonstrate probably this weekend peacefully, many of them, not so peacefully, probably others. We'll see, but it doesn't really matter. It's not just that. That's not the only reason I'm speaking this today. It is in everything we do. And it is easier to do that self-inquiry when there's not too much charge in a situation where you can just, because when we're really charged, it's hard to stop it because there's this big emotional momentum behind it, and that can be hard to stop unless you are with somebody who knows exactly how to help you with that. So practice it just in anything you do, and notice, you might have little internal conversations, maybe with your neighbor or your boss, and you want to really tell them something. See, that's an energy that wants to convince them of something, that you're right, that you're innocent, whatever it is, it's the story that happens in our minds because of some emotional charge that we have not been able to be present with, to soften it, to breathe into it, and to allow that energy just to unravel and be liberated. All right, so the question is again, what is it in you, or what is the point, what is the purpose of expressing your convictions and your opinions? What what is that in you? Pause, feel that energy that wants to do it. Let yourself lean back into that energy. Feel it. And then feel what is in that energy. What is the energy hoping for? And then you might get some really cool answers. All right, friends. Lovely to be here with you. Please share. Please like, subscribe if you want. And always, I love reading your comments. I really do. It nourishes me because it gives me more incentive to keep going because it resonates. All right. Have a wonderful day.